You remember that time, don't you? That time those funny little rumours were flying around that Celtic and Rangers were going to somehow, I don't know how, get put into either the Sky Bet Championship or the English Premier League. It never happened, of course. It was an idea that was flirted with between the powers that be, between the FAs and UEFA and FIFA and whoever else, but it never materialised. Until now. And that is exactly what I have done on this video. I have put Celtic and Rangers into the English Premier League and picked two of the North East teams closest to the Scottish border out of Newcastle, Middlesbrough, Sunderland and Carlisle being the four teams really that I could pick from out of a hat, and it's ended up being those teams being swapped with Newcastle and Middlesbrough going into the Scottish Premier League. So here's a fun little interesting experiment that I've run a simulation for 5 years on to see how all four of those teams cope in their retrospective new leagues, what happens with it, what transfers they make, what competitions they win. So let's go have a look at it now. So here we are in the Premier League. Nope, get off that Premier Division. And here we are. Yeah, so there's Rangers and Celtic. Celtic, of course, one snag I did find with this, and I couldn't change it for the first season, was in their schedule. Celtic still have to compete in the Scottish Cup competitions. I couldn't figure out how to change it, so basically this season they're going to have to run a lot of competitions in this league, because they've still got the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup as well to play, so they've got a lot of competitions to play. Celtic start to the season hasn't been too bad, actually. Yeah, they had a Scottish Cup win there. They actually beat Man City at Celtic Park 3-2. That's unbelievable. I did not expect that. They lost to Everton and they drew with Wolves, and then they lost to Arsenal but somehow managed to beat Man City. I don't know how that works. We'll have a quick look at, well, in fact, actually, we'll have a look at their transfers to see, because this got started on the original database, and obviously I've just moved things around a little bit. There won't be too many players coming in and out, so we'll have a quick look, and yeah, Jan Menvia, I think, is a new one. They've brought in Phillips and Bernardo were were ones that were already on there, but Adeyemo and Valakari are two players that they've brought in, so nothing really major. We'll have a look at Rangers, see how they've started the season. Exactly the same position. They're going to have a lot of competitions to play. Couldn't really rectify that, to be fair. And again, not too bad a start of the season. So they were knocked out of the Champions League, so they've basically gone into the Europa League. That's pretty standard for them. Got through the Scottish Cup round, and then for the first few games of the Premier League, they've actually drawn 3 and won 1. So they've had a good start to the season. Pretty solid start, I'd say. Again, same with the transfers, nothing new coming in. Most if not all of their transfers had already been done. Now, if we go and have a look at Newcastle, obviously they are in the cinch Scottish Premier League with Middlesbrough right there. We'll have a quick look at their schedule, and yeah, as expected, they've got off to a flyer, although randomly they lost to Hearts. To be honest, I would expect that to be all green with the squad that they got, but there you go. And actually they played Middlesbrough first game of the season as well and won that. So yeah, that's a good start. A 3-0 win against Aberdeen, 3-0 against St Mirren, 2-0 against Ayr, and a 2-1 against Borough, and losing 2-1 to Hearts. So they've had a solid start. I don't think they've had any more transfers come in. One, El Neni from Arsenal, which is a bit of a random one, but oh well, okay. And then there is Middlesbrough. We'll have a look at their schedule. Obviously, you already know they've lost, but they have won a couple and drawn one as well. So they've had a solid start. Transfer wise, nothing different. They haven't brought anybody else in. So this could be an interesting experiment. This first season is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to run the simulation just on season number 1 to see how they get on, and then after that I'm going to run another 4 years to see how the rest of those seasons go and how much financial backing each club gets, whether they're successful in Europe, whether they actually win anything or not. Who knows? I fully expect Newcastle to win every single league title. With the amount of money they got and the squad that they got, they should be breezing that league every single year. It's down to the other teams to catch them up. As for Rangers and Celtic, I fully expect them to be capable enough and have enough financial firepower and squad depth to actually stay in the Premier League. Whether that will happen or not, well, join me in a few seconds to find out and see what happens. Okay, welcome back. Let's have a little dip into it and see what happens. So we will go to Newcastle first to see what happened with them. Oh, look at that, right at the top of the league already. Surprise, surprise. League table, they absolutely utterly creamed the league. 36 wins, 1 draw and 1 loss. Nobody was getting close. Nobody at all. Did they win anything else? Let's have a look at the landmarks. Since Premiership, they won a Scottish Cup and the Viaplay Cup, so they'd done the complete domestic treble up in Scotland. But nothing in... Hang on. They won in the Europa League? No, that wasn't it. We have a look at the schedule. How did they get on in the Champions League? Champions League... Round of 16, second leg. And they got knocked out by Man United. Alright. Now, obviously as well, Middlesbrough finished second in the Premier League there, which means they qualify for the Champions League as well. So that's going to bring in more revenue, more money for them to spend on better players and hopefully progress the club as well. Maybe catch Newcastle up on that. But let's have a look at Celtic and Rangers. Shall we? Oh dear. Even Everton with their 10-point deduction, Celtic finished bottom and Rangers got relegated as well. I didn't expect that. I honestly thought they would have enough. Nunes got... Sorry, going slightly off topic. Nunes actually got the golden boot ahead of Haaland. Mad season. So, yeah, Celtic relegated. I'm presuming they didn't win anything else. No, they did not. Schedule-wise, why is it doing that? I do not know. But, oh, they went on some horrible runs there. 8 games there, only 1 draw, and that was against Rangers. They won the last couple of... Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. I might have ruined Celtic in one season. Let's have a quick look at Rangers then and why they went down as well. Well, I don't think they would have won anything either. No, because we know Newcastle done the treble, so there's no other cups there. Schedule-wise, again, really wow, December was horrible for them. They actually got some decent results here and there, and they did well in the Conference League. They got all the way to the Europa Conference League final, but lost. Oh, that's a shame for them, actually. I didn't expect that, but that is a shame for them. Well, as you can see, for a first year experiment, I fully expected Newcastle to breeze it. They did. I expected Middlesbrough to finish at least in the top 3. They did. I expected Rangers and Celtic to stay in the Premier League, and neither of them did. Both of them got relegated. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to simulate the rest of this 5-year period to see what happens, and we'll come back, we'll have a look at the transfers, the financials, see if the club's won anything at all, and we'll get right back into it. So join me again in a few seconds and we'll see what happens with it. Okay, so jumped into my little time machine, zipped forward a few years, and we are now on the 31st of May 2029, so we are 6 years, actually, into the future. Yeah, 6 years from the start of the first season of the experiment. Let's go and have a look at Celtic and Rangers first, to see how they've done, because after the first year relegation, well, they're back in the Premier League, Celtic are, so that in itself is quite interesting. And by the looks of it, they finished really, really well into the Conference League. So they've bounced back pretty well, I'd say. When did they bounce back? Well, looking at a little graph here, so yep, they finished 20th in the Premier League. They won the Sky Bet Championship, or obviously they've got the trophy there for, and then finished 17th, 10th, 16th, and then 7th. So they've actually done alright. They've done okay. Obviously now that they're in the Premier League, they don't go into those Scottish Cup games, so they would have been involved in the Carabao Cup, which they actually got to the Carabao Cup semi-final. That's unfortunate. They almost made the final. And the FA Cup as well, which, again, looking at the history, there's no trophies there, so they haven't won any league titles or anything like that besides one Sky Bet Championship. Transfers wise, if we go back to the first season and then go from there, any interesting signings? Marmol, that's a good signing from Las Palmas. Any surprising ones? Reguilon from Spurs. Not really spending a massive amount of money. I'm quite surprised at that, and this is 3 seasons in. By this point, they're back in the Premier League. Spent a little bit more there. Alfie Devine, Buonani from Nice, that's a good signing, and Carvalho from Liverpool. Okay, not bad at all. Well, they like going to Liverpool. I know there's that big connection, obviously, between Liverpool and Celtic, so they've obviously got a few players from us. Anthony Robinson from Fulham, that's a good signing. Trossard from Madrid. Hey? Okay. Trossard was at Real Madrid, supposedly. Simicast from Liverpool on loan. And then the final season worth of transfers, they got Omarodian. Great player. Great player. Traore, Lassana Traore from Shakhtar. Nothing massive. I expected a little bit more, to be fair. I thought they would have splashed the cash a little bit more, but hey ho. Well, at least they bounced back and they got back into the Premier League. That's the main thing. If we have a look at Rangers, on the other hand, I'll go straight to them. They're still the champion. They've just got promoted there. Let's have a look at the history. Wow, they stayed in the Championship. They struggled. Obviously went down first season, 18th, then 8th, 6th. So they would have been in the playoffs and got beaten there. 5th, playoffs again. 9th there, so outside the playoffs, and they've just got promoted. No other, from what I can see here, Scottish Cups for all the Scottish trophies, no other trophies to speak of. Did they even come close to anything? FA Cup, 3rd round, 4th round by Luton. Dear me. Well, we'll have a look at the transfers. They've spent a lot of money by the looks of it. Let's have a look here. Cornet from West Ham, Greaves from Hull, Philogene from Hull. So we obviously left Aston Villa. Oscar Højlund on a free transfer. Cole Palmer on loan from Chelsea. Then the next season, not as much spent. Abdullah Seema. Nothing. Alfie Dorrington from Spurs. Nothing really to say. Ooh. And again, it's a lack of investment. Not really spending that money wisely looking at these transfers. Keane Lewis Potter was a good signing. Goncalves from Spurs, I'm presuming, is a regen? Nope. Never heard of him before. Then the final one is where they really spent. They spent 72 million on this season. That's a lot of money. But Adebayo from Luton and Ngakia from Watford. Palmer they signed on a permanent transfer after he went to West Ham. And he put a lot of free transfers. So they obviously went big to get promoted back into the Premier League. And they managed to do it. Ian Maatsen as well from Sheffield United. So that's surprising, to say the least. I thought Rangers would have bounced back quicker, but obviously didn't. We're just going to have a look at their financials actually. They've got 50 million. Their balance isn't too bad. Okay, well, let's have a look at Newcastle and Middlesbrough. Lo and behold, top of the Premier League again. Let's have a look, and yeah, they finished top every single time, so that means they've had 6 Premier League titles whilst being in Scotland, 5 Scottish Cups, and 5 Viaplay Cups. So obviously there was just 1 season of each. Yeah, so they won every year there. They didn't win the Scottish Cup in 2025. I wonder if Middlesbrough did. And they didn't win the Viaplay Cup in 2027. I'll be interested to see if Middlesbrough managed to nick a couple of trophies or not. But again, no European trophies either. That's disappointing from Newcastle's perspective. Transfer history though. Let's see who's been coming and going. Wow, 270 million. No wonder they didn't stand a chance. Woof. Upamecano, Danjuma, Nunes, Rafinha, Lewis Hall on a permanent, João Cancelo, Nagalo, and then free transfers to Raimi. Rafinha and Cancelo were obviously brought in permanently after being on loan. Matheus Nunes as well. That's ridiculous. 270. No wonder they couldn't compete in Scotland. Then another 279 million. Dewsbury Hall, Gabriel, Gonzalez, Christensen, Valentin Barco, Karnaseki, Enzo Fernandez and Axel Disasi from Chelsea. Christensen from Barcelona, obviously that was a permanent loan deal. Urian Timber and Cody Gakpo. Yet with all these players, Newcastle still couldn't win a European trophy. I'll have a look to see if they got close on any of the seasons, but another 255 million. Enciso, Mikalenko, Badiashile, Kirivor, Marcus Leonardo, Milinkovic-Savic. That's mental. Oh, well, this one they only spent 15 million. I'm not surprised. Their squad was. They got Anthony from Man United. That's bad. And in the final season, they still managed to spend 136 million. Kefren Turam, Okungokchu, Tobias. I've got no words. With that amount of money being spent, I would totally expect them to win a treble every single season domestically. What I am more surprised at with the players that they have bought, they haven't competed in Europe. That being said, let's have a quick look at the darts. So, Champions League phase, where do they get to? Oh, the Club World Championships they've been invited along for. Champions League round of 16, they got knocked out there. Champions League phase. What? Did they not make it out of the league phase on that season? Huh? Where are they on this? Oh, that's current season. Last season. No, they didn't even call. Oh, that's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. Oh, that's horrendous. Go back another season. And again. Knockout round by Man United. Season before that. Paris Saint-Germain, round of 16. And then that season. round of 16, quarterfinals. They actually made it to the semi-final and got knocked out by Man City. That's the closest they've come. But that season where they didn't even get through the league phase, that is embarrassing. That really is. Let's have a look at Middlesbrough as the final team. So financially wise, before I do the transfers and before I look at the trophies, I really want to see what their European record is like. So we'll have a look at the fixtures. I'll resort that. So that's the first season. They weren't in Europe. European wise, they went into the Europa League for the second season and made it to the knockout playoff round. Then Europa League again, round of 16, they got knocked out. Europa League, knockout round by Besiktas. Europa League again. It seems to me that they can't get past the qualifying stages of the Champions League. And then the final one, again, Europa League. That's going to be damaging them. The money is not there. Have a look at the history. Consistent second place all the way through. And did they win anything? They won one Scottish Cup in 2025. One Scottish Cup. That's all they've managed. Transfer wise, well, I'll go back to the first season and start from there. So they spent 14 million in their first full season, I'll say. Not bringing anyone in of great renown, so to speak. Another only 1.4 million spent in the third season. Season number 4, only 10 million spent, where they got Carlos Baleba and Patson Daka. Not really anything of note again. Season number 5, bit more spent. Jacob Murphy coming in, Tyrone Mings. 25 million spent though. I know obviously it's hard to compete against Newcastle in the Scottish League now because they've got the money, but I would expect better investment than this. And only 20 million spent in the last season. Again, average players, Manor Solomon, Luca Barrington. Well, here concludes the experiment of Celtic and Rangers being in the Premier League and a couple of the English teams being up north. Couple of surprises here and there. I did expect Celtic and Rangers to stay in the Premier League consistently. They didn't. They didn't spend anywhere near enough money. I expected Newcastle to absolutely cream the Scottish Premier League. They did, but I also expected them to use that wisely, or more wisely, to progress themselves in Europe. They didn't. They were embarrassing. Middlesbrough didn't do anywhere near as well as I thought they would do in Europe, using the chance there to get into the Champions League and missing out every single season. Well, that is that for this one. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to do any more seasons on this, but if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. There are going to be a few more what if videos coming out. I've got a couple of ideas that I'm mixing together. There is another Dynasty video coming out about the Esposito brothers after this video, and I'm going to be doing other like sort of brother and what if videos to see what these experiments produce and what actually happens. So if you want to see more of them, tune in next time, and I'll see you in the next episode. Ta-ra.